LED walls. We've seen them everywhere. We've seen them in Las Vegas signs, New York signage, church signage, McDonald's signage. Everybody's using them for signage. Everybody's using them for video screens. We see them in concerts, in theme parks, and even mobile entertainment companies have them. But boy, those suckers are expensive, aren't they? And that's not really a big deal because with the right marketing plan, you could easily make your money on them. But they're definitely a lot harder to use than a traditional video screen and projector. You gotta have an LED controller. You have to learn new words such as PowerCon, EtherCon. You have to learn about aspect ratios and all sorts of stuff. They're pretty difficult. And you know, there's not a lot of tutorials out there. Companies have said, oh, we're gonna make tutorials, and they never do. Nobody ever really has. And if you join the video or the groups on Facebook, it's people that already know what they're doing. There really isn't a 101. Well, Gear It First is going to change that. Today, we're going to start a new tutorial series all about LED walls. Now, I've done some basic ones on what LED walls are and how the panels work. So make sure you watch those first. You really need to learn how these things actually work before you can put them together. It just makes diagnosing problems a lot easier in the long run. I've partnered with Blizzard Lighting for this project, so big thanks to Will and the gang because they've sent me a lot of road cases so we can do these videos. We're going to be using the Iris 3 panels and the NovaStar TB6 controller. Now, I want to preface this video by, of course, saying that if you don't have an LED wall, go show Blizzard some love. They are good video panels, which is why I'm using them, and they're good people there. But if you already have a different LED wall, or maybe you made the purchase and you need some help, don't be afraid of still using these video series. I do have to be biased and say that unless you need something incredibly fancy, the NovaStar TB6 might be the coolest LED wall controller that I've seen. And that's distributed by Blizzard. So even if you have somebody else, you still need to hit up Blizzard about that TB6. And you'll see why later on in this video series, why it's awesome. So, you're going to be hitting the pause button, taking a lot of notes. Totally get that. You'll also see that I'm dressed up. Don't do that for an LED wall. That's only to make this video look a lot more professional than I really am. It's also a two-person setup. I really got to preface by saying that you could do this yourself, but if you want to do it right and you don't want to risk destroying something that's really expensive, then yeah, two people. And last thing, you're going to see on the video, the LED wall is going to look really weird. You may see some lines, you may see some cross pattern. That's due to the way the LEDs work with the shutter speed of the camera. Now I'm going to do my best to make sure it doesn't look funky, but if it's between showing you how it works and giving you the proper lighting or making sure that the video looks good on video, I'm choosing the former. And most importantly, of course, any questions, comments, or anything like that, please leave them below. So, let's get started. Today's video, we're going to talk about, well, how to hang one of these guys up. We're going to use 12 panels in a 4:3 configuration, which of course will be a 4:3 aspect ratio. And we'll later do a 16:9. We'll also do some videos on how to control it with either your phone or your computer or nothing at all. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. Gear It First, LED wall video tutorials, sponsored by Blizzard. Catchy transition and... So the very first thing we need to do is hang the video screens. Now Blizzard has these ringing bars, we'll call them, so you can hang 2 panels on each one, or if you just want to hang one panel, maybe you want to make a row, you would hang it on the center. The shackles that they use are the 16mm shackles. So for this, I have used some Global Trust hardware. Right now, I have chosen to use, you can see them right here, it's called the Quick Rig Eye Clamp. And the reason that I prefer the Quick Rig Eye Clamp is because right now, they're not even tightened. I can take them out, set them, adjust these how I want, then I can tighten them down. The Quick Rig Eye Clamp holds roughly around 500 kilograms, which is 1,100 pounds on each side. And then the shackles, these are the 3-ton, half-inch shackles. Let me go ahead and give you a quick tip. Don't do the 3-ton shackles like I did. Do a 2-ton. These are 2-ton eye bolts, So what happens is this was really hard to get in. I mean, really difficult. And I had to find just the right angle. With a 2-ton, this little part right here will easily go through. Every LED wall has a different way to connect. The way the Blizzard has their connection allows you to curve it. The Iris series does allow a convex or concave connection. And the way that that's done is by connecting these two pieces together. Now we have a wing nut here, and then we have this Allen screw, and they come stock like that. We're going to slide one over the other. So I'm gonna move these clamps over. And I'm gonna take this little wing nut right here, or excuse me, I'm gonna take the Allen screw, and then I'm gonna take the wing nut. I want you to look here in the front. You can actually see that it's spelled out in degrees of how you want to adjust it. Well, we're gonna do 0. We can do up to 10 or -5. So again, I wanna show you the degrees right there. We're gonna align it to be 0. There's a little notch. That's done. I just went ahead and tightened everything. I've inspected everything to make sure there are no loose connections within my shackles or the bolts or anything. And it's all hanging flat and it's hanging straight at 0 degrees. Blizzard makes it easy thanks to the marked degree corners or degree notches on the actual bars themselves. Look at this road case. It's plastic, but it's a heavy molded plastic. So it's very, very secure. I've already beat the crap out of this thing. But it's not stupid heavy. You know, the wooden road cases, I couldn't even lift one side up. Here, if I really wanted to, and I wasn't wearing my nice suit, I would easily be able to lift this up. Maybe struggle. I'd probably cry, but I could lift it up. With a wooden road case, I would not be able to do that. So let's go ahead and get the first one out. And I'm going to use some terms that I've already used in the video. So if you don't understand any of these terms, you need to rewind and watch the videos. I'm going to go ahead and get the power con. I'm going to plug this guy in. And we're done. The end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just kidding. Okay, so we've got this over here, and my power light is on. My data light goes on to show, hey, it's booting up, and then it shuts off because there's no data going to it. And there's a little test light in the back. So I'm going to hold that test light down. And I'm going to check all my LEDs. I can see that all the red is currently working. My goodness, that is bright. Next, we have green. I can see that all the green LEDs are working. We have blue. All the blue LEDs work. And if you see that maybe something's not working, you can literally try massaging it in place. That's very common with all LED walls, that sometimes massaging a pixel back in place will easily fix it. We've got more testing options. We've got white. And then we can make sure that all the refresh rate, everything works the way that it should. So you may be asking, do I need to do this for every single panel? Yes, every single panel, every time you take it out. You don't have to, but imagine if you set everything up, configure it, and then a panel halfway through your screen has a bad LED and you have to redo all of it. So go ahead and test them. Doesn't take that long. To hang it, it's pretty simple. You've got locks. You've got 2 on the top. You have 2 on the bottom. And you've got 1 on the left and 1 on the right. And it's literally as simple as pushing up, locking it, and there you go. To unlock it, it slides out. Now, all these screens, depending on the manufacturer, have different ways to lock it and unlock it, but it's essentially the same. Blizzard's is actually a little bit easier than other ones because, well, it looks like you could technically do it yourself. You know, there's kinds where you've got to push it and you got to screw it. This one seems a lot easier. So let's give that a try. Like I said, you could try doing this yourself. You can also try skydiving without a parachute. Both are incredibly stupid. What Monica's going to do is she's going to hold the panel, and there's 2 ways we can actually do this. So, hold it. Yeah, okay, hold it just like that then. She's going to be very careful not to actually push the LEDs themselves. So we got these on the unlocked position. I'm going to go up here, slide them in through the holes. I'm going to keep it pushed on the unlocked position. I'm going to lift this guy up, lock it, and then I'm going to lock it right here. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to push, I'm going to pull on that, Again, just so you can see, I'm gonna pull on that. There it is right there. And lock it. Monica will double check everything. She noticed that wasn't in all the way. And that's it. And it didn't fall and crash. So that's the important part. Might have to come from around here because it's, or hold it from the bottom, babe. Hold from the bottom. So again, same thing. What's gonna happen is, I'm gonna push, I'm gonna lock it, push, lock it. Great, thank you, babe. And then right over here, this is where we can select whether we want a concave, convex, or straight. So I'm gonna unlock it. We're going to adjust this. Right now, it's going in -5, so we're just gonna open this to unlock, put it to 0, lock it, and then I'm gonna go here and lock it up. Monica's gonna grab from the bottom. I'm gonna adjust it. That's gonna slide right in. Lock. Push the lock up. Lock it from the top and then lock it from the bottom. So push, lock, beautiful. See that there? Now this is at 0 degrees, which is good. So now we're gonna take it, lock it up. There it is right there. So you gotta twist this and then you gotta lift it up, and that pretty much keeps it locked. And then to unlock it, you just bring it down like that. See it? So lock up, beautiful. Okay, so again, -5. So I'm gonna keep this unlocked. I'm gonna adjust it to 0 and then lock it. And that keeps it nice and taut. So again, as you saw, we're gonna aim it with the holes. So once I put this together, Monica immediately noticed that the mask popped off. The mask is this little plastic mesh that we had talked about earlier in the video. So all I'm gonna have to do is basically undo that part of the screen. So as you saw, or as I showed you earlier, you just pull it out there and you are good. All right, we're gonna, oops, unlock it. And pull out here. And then, Monica, you gotta hold it up. Okay. All right, if you wanna go ahead and fix that mask. So she's just pushing it back in. You got it?
Yep.
Okay. Monica's verifying all the masks. Everything gets pushed in nicely. Okay, I'm gonna lock it now to 0 degrees. And it looks great. Now let's talk about powering it up. You need to understand that these panels are 130 watts at full blast. That means solid white and the brightest possible. So in reality, even though it's a little bit over an amp, 1.1 amps each one, you're not really pulling but quite an amp on average for each. This means that theoretically on a 20 amp circuit, you could probably do about 18 to 20 of these. But a 20 amp circuit does not necessarily mean 20 amps. First of all, you always give a 20% headroom. So if it's a 20 amp, I don't ever put more than 18 amps in each one. But this cable, which goes into a normal wall outlet, just because it goes into a 20 amp circuit does not mean that this is a 20 amp cable. This connection is rated for 15 amps. So what that means and why it goes into a 20 amp circuit is because you've got 2 circuit outlets in each one, right? So if let's say you've got a 15 amp and a 15 amp, it goes to a 20 amp circuit, that means as long as you're not going over 20 amps total, you're fine. But each socket is only rated for 15 amps. So I can put 12 of these with no problem, maybe 15, but again, you're pushing it. So I wouldn't go past 12 per amperage. And really the safest rule is 10 on each one, because depending on how long your run is, you may have a voltage drop. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up the very first one here. And then we've got PowerCon cables. And if you call your dealer and you just, instead of trying to figure all this out, just say, hey, hook me up with an awesome Blizzard wall kit. They'll give you everything that you need. So let's grab, let's see, we've got 2 more that we need to do. Now let's talk about data. Notice that in the back of each one, you have an Ethernet port. You can use regular Ethernet cable, Cat 6. You could do Cat 5, but trust me, Cat 6 will just save you nightmares in the long run. We're gonna be using the appropriate cable. That's called an Ethercon. This is the Ethercon cable right here. It's basically a Cat 6 cable with a little broken tab, and it's inside a Nutric jacket, similar to an XLR. These are roadworthy, unlike a traditional Cat 6. But if one day something craps out on you, you can easily go to Walmart and get additional Cat 6 cables. Now this is very important. You need to remember how you have this connected. The Novistar software for Windows, you'll basically map it saying, okay, I went from this screen to this one, 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 to this one. On your phone, the app does it for you automatically. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. So for testing the video, I'm just gonna use my phone. Not gonna bother trying to configure it with my computer or anything like that. And the Novistar TV6 makes this super easy. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put my Novistar somewhere where it's convenient. Because this setup is going to be completely wireless, meaning no computer or anything like that, the TV6 is going to be hung on the trussing. Now, it doesn't have necessarily normal holes that you can put an M8 type clamp bolt on it. I'm using the Global Truss Mini 360 F14. So I only have one on just so I can rotate it back and forth so I can show you guys in the video, but you want to make sure that you always have this connected properly. So I have the Novistar hooked up. I'm just going to do out of one output with a Cat 6 cable out from here, and we're going to go into the first one for now. Now this is very important. Once I hooked it up, the data light starts blinking. I'm gonna go ahead and bring my TV6 app up. I'm already connected. I'm up to the screen. So I'm gonna go into my screen settings. We're gonna go into screen configuration. I'm gonna leave that as it is. And we're gonna set it up. So the RV card size, which is each individual screen, is 128 by 128. Now every screen, every LED panel is different. The Iris R3, this particular, is 128 by 128. I've set my pixels. Now for my card quantity, it's gonna be three columns, excuse me. We're gonna set it to be 4 columns by 3 rows. And I'm only using one Ethernet port. See here, it tells me how many Ethernet ports we're using in case we're doing a multi-screen. Well, in this case, I'm only doing one screen, so we need one LED cable. And again, we're gonna do the 4 columns by 3 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's the first row done right there. The reason I wanted to go ahead and do this now is because I want to look at my cabinet connection. I can choose different ways that I'm gonna connect it. So it's gonna go from here, to here, to here, to here, then down to the bottom row after that. So let's go ahead and get that connected according to the number 2 configuration, and there's multiple ones. Now when you're doing the software, you can do different configurations if you want, but the phone software makes it super easy. So I'm gonna just go ahead and test, make sure that everything's working the way that it should. And the way that I do that is, I'm gonna go into my solutions, and I'm gonna hit on add solution. And I'm just gonna name that solution 1 for now. It's just gonna be just a quick thing, ready to go. Solution 1, new media. And I can do an image, I can do an analog clock, text, whatever. I'm just gonna do a quick video. And here's some stuff from the video that I just, that I've been filming actually for this one. So there, we'll go ahead and load this 23-second clip. And we'll load this one here. We're gonna click OK, done. And now we're going to send it by clicking the upper right hand. I'm gonna send it over to the Novistar TV6. So it's going to play the video without needing the phone hooked up to it. It loads the video into the internal memory. It's got about 8 gigs of internal memory. If you need more memory than that, you can connect an external hard drive to it. There it is there. Okay, so I can see now that the video is playing the way that it should be. I'm gonna take an Ethercon cable and I'm gonna go from this screen directly to the next one. Okay, so you're seeing that it's not making an even image. It looks all lopsided, and it's gonna continue doing that as I plug this in. And the reason for that is because you don't just configure it and then connect it. you connect it all first, and then you configure it, because it has to send all that information to each individual card. So connect everything and then configure. Again, super easy. And with Ethernet, there's no in and out ports. Just go from one Ethernet or Ethercon directly to the other. Once we have that, Monica and I are gonna crank up this screen. So Monica, if you can meet me to the other side, please. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing that we just did before. We're gonna do the next row. I'm just gonna go ahead and get this in there. Monica's gonna grab the other side. Again, we lock this, or we're gonna push this in first, lock it, and then lock it in. This is really much easier than other LED walls that I've used. And I've used a fair amount. I like this type of connection. Oh, that's fun. This one's bent. Oh, no, there we go. All right, push it up. So lift this up. There it goes. Lock it in. There are several points of safety here. First of all, this gets pushed in. The first part of safety is right here. This gets locked in, and this here is locked, so this cannot undo by itself. But when you lock it, it just pushed it down there. So this would have to come undone, and even then you can't undo this without this part coming up. So you've got a couple of points of safety here, then obviously you've got here. The one on the side isn't really to bear weight as much as it is to keep all of them together. But it is nice to know that if God forbid one of the locks or anything connections failed on you, you could still continue. And in a later video, we're going to talk about redundancy too, because that's very important with these. So let's recap one more time and we will continue. So first, real quick, oh, this is in the wrong, okay, there it is right there. Yep, get it locked in. Let's recap. Lock, lock, push up, lock, lock, then unlock here, bring this to 0 degrees, lock it back up, bring it, lock, you're done. Monica, meanwhile, is inspecting the mask to make sure everything looks the way that it should. And then we will get another data cable and connect it all together. So data out, into, data in. Can I be honest with you? This is the first time that I've set this particular screen up. I've done other manufacturers, multiple other manufacturers, but this is my first time doing a Blizzard. This is the fastest setup. One of my negative points about LED video walls is, well, they take longer to set up than a video, a projection screen. I'm thinking not with this particular setup. If I already have to do the trussing to hang lights and stuff, the truss part is irrelevant. If I already have the shackles and everything already configured, I just take them out of the road case, set them up. So it's really just about getting all these wired up, and the TB6 app is going to make that super easy. You're about to see that in just a second. But in reality, Monica, my wife and I, we can get this set up in maybe 15 minutes. And a projection screen of the same size, you got to sit there and stretch it out. We got to get the projector set up, run the cables obviously to the projector, map it, scale it, keystone it, etc. So if you ever heard me say before, well, LED walls take a little bit longer, I'm eating my own words, at least with this particular model. The locks on it are much faster than other models. I don't need to sit there and take an Allen wrench or screwdriver to get that lock to get stuck in there. Super easy, really smart design by Blizzard. So I'm pleasantly surprised. Let's go ahead and get the Novastar TB6 app loaded one more time. Signage anywhere, control anyway. That's a great slogan. We're gonna go ahead and connect to the Taurus, which is our TB6. All right, connect, login succeeded. I'm gonna real quick just set this to a different one just to see if it changes. Yep, that changed right there. So the first thing that I noticed in the app is the cabinet connection is from the front, not the back. So you can see here that we have the S versus the 2 configuration because I'm looking at it directly. So everything almost looks right, except this card seems to be not right. The panel here, we're gonna configure that in just a second. And we have a dead pixel. We actually have a missing pixel. And that's not good. If I'm in a show, you know, okay, that far back may not be a problem, but I want to get that fixed ASAP, and I don't want to sit there and mail the whole thing. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pop that module out, and we'll do that in a later video, and I'm gonna send that module over to Blizzard, and they'll be able to fix just that one particular module. There is a bit of a lag. That's the video, not the actual TV6, because it's trying to process a huge file size 4K video that I just loaded in there, not thinking about it. So the screen is pretty much done. And we've got it all configured in the S array. Remember, it's from the front, not the back. But a couple of things here, and this is why I said you test each individual card. One, we've got a missing pixel, and I just mentioned how we're gonna get that fixed. But this card here is all jumbly. This is why I say it's very important to test the LED panel beforehand. And I did, but I'm gonna test it one more time. So I have red, and so basically I'm gonna check with Monica. So red, Monica, check.
Yes.
Green.
Green. Hello. White.
How's the up? That one okay?
Yep.
Left to right.
Left to right.
Diagonal.
Diagonal.
Gradient.
Gradient. Green.
All right, that should be color change.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that works. So what's going on? Let's go ahead and plug this guy back in. Something's still not right. So here's what's going on. Each LED wall has a card, which I discussed in the last video. The card parameters in here are incorrect. So we have to go into Novistar and fix that. I don't have the software with me. And it cannot be done from the iOS app. Was this done on purpose? You betcha. But that panel wasn't supposed to go up right now. That was for a later video. So either way, you'll at least understand that, hey, this needs to be fixed, and there's an easy way to fix it. We'll do that in another video. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take these two panels, or these three panels out, so we can swap that panel out. And then we'll just real quick reconfigure everything, and we'll be good to go. Before we continue, we're going to go ahead and test to make sure that configuration works the way that it should. So we're going to hit OK. And there we go, much better. So now we're going to do the last two panels and refresh it back again on the phone. And there it is. It's pretty much automatically configured there, even though some of the panels were swapped around. Novistar TV6 really makes this a lot easier. Look how pretty that looks. Most importantly, it's a nice bright room. It's a bright screen. It's keeping up with all the lights here in my warehouse studio. It is beautiful. And now let's say I want to load something else in here. So I'm gonna go back into my app, and we're gonna go into our solutions. And on solution, we're just gonna have a simple one. We're going to click OK. We're going to add new media, image, media library. There's my Gear It First logo. We'll see, that's probably going to look all squished, but that's okay. You can even make it as a slideshow too. There'll be more videos on the app itself later on. And we're just going to go ahead and hit the send button, and that's going to send it from here into the memory over there. And there it is, my Gear It First logo. Did you see how fast that was? And I can go back over here into something else. So now imagine if you were just doing a simple wedding, or you're using it for digital signage, nothing where you need a lot of on-the-fly control or VJing. You can control everything directly on from here. So I could do a slideshow for the bride and groom, and this will also take care of music too, but that's for later on. And I can go back into their monogram, or again, for corporate parties, you can do a queue for each individual person. The Viplex app, which is free with your TV6, makes this super easy. Wait till you see what you can do on the computer too. There it is, connected. And disconnecting this thing is super fast. Now again, no matter who you're using for LED walls, it relatively works the same way. But I'm not gonna lie, I am severely impressed on how fast my wife and I were able to get this set up. This is our first time doing the Blizzard screens, and it was fast. It was ridiculously fast. And the way that, you know, when we connect it, if some of the masks pop up, we're able to just quickly unlock it from the sides, adjust it, and it looks good as new. So I can just now go over here, And I don't know if you saw in the other videos, but my wife was just going around flattening it to see like, oh, this right here needs to be pushed in a little bit. We can adjust things, etc. My name is Arnaldo Offerman with LED Video Wall Manuals, another amazing video series from Gear It First. Now you know what to do. Hit that plus button, the thumbs up, the bell button, the subscribe. My wife's in the background going. So thank you guys so much. Have a great evening and God bless. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Gear It First, honest reviews, incredible gig logs, lots of tips and tricks, and more tutorials than any other YouTube channel. I guarantee it or your money back.